up there. And just so we're clear, this was sent to me, but I'm not being paid for this review. Nobody gets to see this video before it's launched, and there's no input from Zhiyun. Well, image tracking works pretty well. It kind of lost me toward the end, but it actually does work, which is pretty sweet. It's a whole new way you can use a gimbal to tell a story. Hey look, there's some mine shafts up there. We definitely, absolutely, positively should not. Now, the cool thing about going back in there is I was able to test, and I used one of my anamorphic lenses because it's an all-manual lens, and because I got the full-on, like, pro kit, everything kit, it comes with the image transmission module and the focus motor. And the focus motor is really cool. In the past, you kind of had to, like, make sure you set your A and B points properly. But with this focus motor, Zhiyun's included something really cool, and that's a calibrate button. And this is one of my favorite features of the focus motor. If you're using it on a zoom or a manual lens with a focus ring that has hard stops, all you do is hit the calibrate button for a second. It will go find the hard stops and automatically set your A and B points. So then you can use it as fast as slow as you want, but it won't ever try and, like, grind out the hard stops when the motor still tries to go and your, like, A, B point isn't set properly. So we know it does well on things that we've done so far, but how does it handle running over really uneven terrain with a longer focal length? This thing does everything it's supposed to do as a gimbal and a little bit more. In addition to this thing being really stable and having very powerful motors, I mean, I didn't test it on a massive lens like 70 to 180 or even my 150 to 500. I will say that motors are really powerful. It balances well. If you know how to balance gimbals, it's really easy. These are the things that they've really upgraded and changed that I absolutely love. One, the gimbal locks, they've made a lot beefier. They're a lot stronger than the old gimbal locks. I even like the way they've redesigned the controls. So now you've got your joystick here, record button here, and you can switch between pan, follow, lock, and follow modes right here on this little switch, which I love because you don't have to mess with anything else. You can just switch it there. The focus wheel right here is really nice. It works extremely well, and the fact that you got 3 different speeds and how fast you want it to respond with the focus motor makes it really great to work with. I put it on my focus. I put it on a manual lens with, obviously you saw that, worked great. I put it on a zoom lens, my 28 to 75. It also worked great. I didn't change it. I probably should have changed it to zoom on here and zoom on here because that changes the motor strength, but I didn't. That Tamron's pretty easy to zoom. But that's not all. This focus wheel, now on past, it's always just been a focus or a zoom wheel, and it controls the focus or the zoom motor, and in some cameras will control maybe the electronic focus or the electronic zoom. In this case, this wheel is built to control pretty much any parameter that your camera will allow the gimbal to control. So you can use it to control your ISO, your aperture, your shutter speed. You can use it to control the electronic focus. You can use it to control the electronic zoom if you have that, or you can use it to control the focus and zoom motors. And another welcome change and a strength is this joystick. Whatever they're using with this joystick is fantastic, because not only do you get the customization of how you want the joystick to respond, but it also is not a on-off. Like it responds, the further you push it over, the faster or the more it responds. The less you push it, the less it responds. So you can really get an incredibly fine-tuned level of control using the joystick here. But the standout feature is this little screen. Touchscreen. The touchscreen responds really well. It works great. And if you have the image transmission module, the fact that I don't have to pull my phone out, the only time I've used my phone today testing this thing has been when I wanted to track myself down there and I was going to be, 30, 40, 50 feet away from the gimbal. Other than that, all I've done is use the screen. And then if you don't want to use it, you just tuck it aside. The monitor turns off. It doesn't use as much battery power. You get access to absolutely everything in the gimbal. It's easy to change. It's all just touch. You just move stuff around. And so it's really fast, it's very intuitive, it's extremely easy to get into all of the settings of the gimbal, to be able to customize it, set it up exactly the way you want, have it respond exactly the way you want. And on the motors, they're very powerful. They're very, very powerful. When I did the auto calibrate after getting it balanced really, really well, the gimbal set all of the motor strengths at like 75 to 78. It was way too strong. Now that's something Zhiyun will easily be able to fix in a firmware update, but I ended up putting the motor strengths between 45 and 50 for the way I was shooting today, which you've seen all those shots. You can also get this handle, or might be part of the kit depending on what kit you get, that locks in there, and then you have both, and I love it. Not only is this handle really easy to hold and makes it nice and stable, but you get a floret quarter 20 here and then 2 quarter 20s on top, so if you want to attach other things, a light, microphones, monitor, any of that stuff, you can easily attach it to the handle. And even if you don't have the handle, there is a quarter 20 and floret mount over here, so you can attach a monitor or something that you might want to use over there. The new processor and the new algorithms that Zhiyun has put in here are excellent. It does a much better job than the older gimbals. I personally think, at least in testing it today and yesterday, and the times that I've been able to test it and use it, I feel like it's on par with the RSC2 from DJI, which is just phenomenal. And if you think this is a lot bigger, it is a little bigger, because obviously they have a screen in there. The battery is now included in here. You have charger via USB-C. It charges fairly fast, especially if you use power delivery. Which that's the only downside I've found so far, is that you no longer have interchangeable batteries. But the trade-offs, I think, are worth it. And I've been out here for 6 hours now. I've turned it off a few times, but other than that, it's been running pretty much the entire time, and I'm down to about 40% battery, which is pretty good, actually. That's pretty amazing. But it isn't actually that much larger, especially if you look at the side profile. When you break everything down and when you put it like this, it easily fits in the front pocket of my bag, and that's how I've been carrying it around when I was coming to here and then getting up to some of these spots. I would pack it away like that, and then the rest of the time I was just carrying it with my camera on it because I was too lazy to set it up and tear it down every single time. And it definitely feels like they've built this as well as the Weebill S, if not better, especially when it comes to the axis locks. I like the way these look a lot more. They feel much more solid and much more rigid. Then I'm going to say that this thing is going to have no problems really handling a lot of daily use and abuse. As far as modes go, this comes with the usual pan follow, lock, follow, POV mode. It also comes with vortex mode, of course, because vortex mode is something you need in everyday life. It is cool in the right situations, not something you use all the time, but it's cool when you need it. It also comes with a portrait mode, which means you can flip it vertically and film portrait mode. Great if you do a lot of stuff for Instagram Reels or YouTube stories or Facebook stories or anything like that, vertical video. And of course, because it is designed the way it is, it's super easy to put it in the underslung mode and use it in that mode, which is my favorite design of gimbals still to this day. So one other thing you can do when you're filming, especially in selfie mode, is whatever's in the center of the screen, I'll center it up here, If you tap the thing once, the trigger once, just tap it, it'll start tracking whatever subject is in the center of the screen. So that's pretty cool. I still prefer to use the app because then you can be a little more precise about what's selected. But the fact that it works without the app is really nice because if I don't have to use my cell phone, I don't want to. Now, if you're considering buying a gimbal and you want to know which gimbal is best, click or tap here. I put together a small playlist that will walk you through some of the better gimbals that I've reviewed and compare them with each other so you can decide which one might best suit your needs. I've just got to walk back down there a few thousand feet, a couple miles to get back to my car and drive home. I'll see you again soon in the next video.